Sometimes we witness these really crazy, bizarre moments that feel like a dream. But when you tell your friends and family about them, they're probably going to say, "You're tripping." Fortunately, for some people, these moments happen to be when cameras are around, and they actually have proof of their insane experience. Today, we're going to show you 50 such rare occurrences that if they were not recorded, there's no way you'd believe they happened. Stick around to the end to see a really lucky rat who escapes 3 really close calls with cars in less than a minute. A beach full of sharks. We've all seen Jaws when we were little, but here on this beach, dozens of sharks actually came together in a frenzied state. You can see their fins poking out of the water too. Experts said this was because of a large group of fish had emerged and attracted not only sharks, but also seagulls and pelicans. Thank God sharks are strictly aquatic creatures. Horse riding while standing. These guys were riding some horses while standing up on them instead of sitting down, and they all look like they stepped out of an Edgar Allan Poe story. Atomic boom underwater, 1958. An atomic blast took place underwater, and we see a mushroom cloud surprisingly similar to the one we get above ground level. We really wouldn't want to be around when a blast like this one takes place, no matter how awesome it looks. Tsunami from the sky. This tsunami from up above looks totally insane. We wouldn't want to be anywhere in the vicinity when this happens. It looks like a vertical flood. Maybe this is what you get when you cross a cyclone with a tsunami. Time-lapse of aurora. This gorgeous green glow in the sky is one of the wonders of the world. The aurora borealis in Manitoba. What you're watching is a time-lapse. Nature is truly remarkable. Fire helicopter achieves precisely the objective of. This helicopter went out to extinguish a forest fire, and it manages to do exactly that, and not a drop of water was wasted that day either. A plus for accuracy. Surfer almost swallowed by whale. This woman was casually sitting around, floating on her surfboard when a whale jumped out of the surface of the water. If she had been resting a little bit to the side, she would have been swallowed whole by the whale. Man jumps into a car out of control to prevent a collision. CCTV cameras recorded this man jumping into a car that was out of control and prevented what would definitely have been a pretty bad accident. Just when we thought this man couldn't possibly have gotten any more awesome, he jumped out of the car window in the nick of time. Massive sandstorm. Here we see a rapidly progressing sandstorm in Sao Paulo. It sort of looks dystopian, a giant cloud of brown just coming forward and eating up all the buildings and everything else in its path. Dangerous mountain. Here we see 2 dudes running on top of a mountain that looks really dangerously steep. It's like one slip and it's game over forever. Why would anyone want to climb to the top of this mountain? We have to admit, the red soil is quite beautiful. Mountains can be scary. After all, thousands of people have toppled to their deaths trying to get to the top of them. Earthquake in Japan.
Just going back and forth, swaying.
Here in a rare natural phenomena, we see the ground up and actually move. This was shot during the earthquake in Japan. Imagine you put your finger in there and it closes. Massive mudslide. People standing by got back when this mudslide arrived. It looked kind of like someone opened a dam and it was overflowing into the empty channel. Maybe it's a river of chocolate milk. Dog likes to play with crabs. This playful dog likes to dig out crabs by the seashore and then plays with them. She doesn't mean any harm, she's just curious and likes the little guys. They can't seem to get away from her fast enough though. These two definitely belong in a Disney movie. Hot water freezes faster than cold. When this guy threw some cold water outside, you'd think it'd freeze instantly, and yet somehow it doesn't. Maybe it's just not that cold. But when he throws out some heated water onto the snow, it's literally frozen in less than a second. Scientists, care to explain this one? Teacher demonstrates how to escape from a bull. This teacher wanted to teach their class through a practical demonstration. After all, what better way to learn than by practical demonstration? So they took their class out in an empty space and made them stand totally still so that they'd learn for themselves that bulls don't attack anyone who's standing still. And that's what you ought to think if you ever find yourself facing a particularly hostile bull. Point well proven. A bubble freezes. This is what happened when someone held a bubble out in some freezing temperatures. See the ice flow around the outside of the bubble as it freezes? Nature is truly remarkable. Blue whale carcass. This 80-ton blue whale carcass that washed up on a beach has swollen up and bloated because of all the gases involved with the decomposition process trapped inside. Residents in the area are baffled at how to get rid of it. It looks like some sort of alien egg that landed on Earth from outer space. Wave pool. Man-made wave pools have been around since the late 19th century. You'd understand why if you ever felt the thrill of catching a wave. Here we see a large group of visitors in one of South Korea's artificial wave pools. It's absolutely chaotic as these people are thrown around by the huge wave. You can hear the screams of excitement too. Looks like some people are actually having a lot of fun. Andrean condor vulture. This Andrean condor vulture is one really big bird. Looks pretty intimidating from where we're sitting, but no, wait, it's going all the way there to enjoy a taste of ice lolly the bystander human is eating. Okay, now suddenly it looks a lot less scary. Dog running. Looks like we aren't the only ones excited to see the ice cream man come around. This dog just can't contain its joy now that it knows there's ice cream. He even knows how to say ice cream. But don't worry, he wasn't given any. That stuff isn't the greatest thing for a dog. Huge squid latches onto surfboard. A mammoth-sized squid wrapped its long, slimy tentacles around this poor man's surfboard, and somehow, surprisingly enough, it didn't really do anything else, and the man was unharmed. It was probably just curious. Real cyclone. This real cyclone was caught on camera by someone on a boat in Japan. No, this is 100% real and not CGI. Sometimes in rare cases like this, you don't need a horror movie to be scared. The world we live in is scary enough. Fox vs. cat. This cat doesn't take well to having its supremacy threatened and territory encroached by the arrival of this fox. You'd think the fox would at least somewhat intimidate the domestic tabby, but it seems to be the other way around. The cat keeps an eye on it and continues eating. The fox is now not as confident and keeps looking over its shoulder. Okay, now the fox has gathered enough courage to come close. Oh, and the cat snaps. It's not an animal to be messed with. The fox thinks about it again, but the cat's like, don't even think about it. Canadian firefighting planes fill up water from the beach of Shakita. These planes swoop down really low to fill their tanks with water up. There were also people swimming in the water at the time, and we have to say, it cut a pretty close call. Massive griffon vulture is released. This massive griffon vulture looks like it's pure CGI. It's too big to be real. It literally triples in size as it spreads its wings. But believe it or not, there's no special effects at play here. This is all real. Helicopter pouring water on fire near highway. Near a valley in California, a fire burns out of control dangerously close to a section of highway. As cars drive on the highway near the flames, a fire helicopter is seen pouring water on the road to stop the spread of fire. Russian mole rat. Is that a Russian mole rat or a fluffy steam train going by? It's a Russian mole rat. Tree bleeding. This tree, when cut, leaks sap all over, and it's a bright red color too, just like blood. Yikes! At least now we know what we're using as fake blood on Halloween. Anaconda climbs tree. So what we're seeing here is an anaconda snake climbing a coconut tree. Look at it, coiling its scaly body around the trunk and making its way up. Yeah, it's a no-no on all counts for us. as if these deadly snakes weren't already terrifying enough. Arctic fox steals fish. This baby Arctic fox really wants to steal a fish, but it's being scolded every time it even thinks about trying anything. But then the fox makes those puppy dog eyes and scratches the sand, and the man can't help but let the poor thing just take a fish. Trunk on fire. Nature is confusing at times, pretty much as confusing as this clip, which looks like it's straight out of Twin Peaks. But stranger still is the fact that this isn't special effects, it's all real. What happened here is that lightning hit a tree and lit its inside on fire. What a surreal sight to behold. Lightning almost hits. Lightning struck this tree literally a couple of seconds after the car went by. If the car had somehow been delayed a few seconds, it would have been totally done for, but whoever was in that car was on a streak of good luck and nothing happened. But it really was too close for comfort. Lava in-house. We have to admit that lava is actually really aesthetically pleasing, but it's just as dangerous. Don't be fooled by its cool exterior. It literally swallows up everything it touches and reduces it to nothing. But we still kind of want to take a little dip in it, even though it's probably destroyed these homes by now, among further destruction. Baby elephant sneezes and scares itself. This baby elephant, when left behind from the rest of its family, sneezed and got scared of itself. Queen bawling. There's the queen in the center of this ball, and the rest of the honeybees are actively trying to kill her. This is called queen balling and is a common practice among honeybees. By making a ball, she's going to heat up and practically get cooked to death. Yikes, nature is truly brutal. Odd request. This delivery guy received some pretty strange instructions, and they were to just kick the food as hard as he could before dropping it off and leaving. So that's just what he did. The completion of this bizarre request was caught on the person's CCTV camera too. All right then. Lucky rat. This rat was scared in a corner, even more when these guys began filming. Look at the poor thing, it's practically shaking. It makes a run for it and runs out onto the road. Narrowly escapes being run over by a car, and then again. And that officially be 3 near-death experiences in 1 minute. A woman rides 3 horses. Perfect. This massive animal get-together is called the Transhumance, and it features several thousands of horses and well over 3,000 sheep traveling for 3 whole weeks across the countries of France, Italy, and Morocco. But the best part would have to be this woman riding 3 horses at once and looking super relaxed while doing it. Frozen. During winter, some of us complain about cold hand and frozen doorknobs, but some people have it way worse. While you can get the ice off your car using a dryer, some people have their whole car frozen overnight and glued to the ground. But we would expect any less from areas experiencing a temperature of negative 50 degrees Celsius. That temperature is enough to help you break apart a car wheel with your foot or even freeze to death any animals outside. Pouring hot water in this temperature causes it to freeze immediately. Tornado changes mind. It goes without saying that tornadoes are extremely dangerous. They can cause serious damage on property and loss of life. In Malaysia, a tornado decided to spare a city from destruction. The huge tornado was headed for the buildings from the ocean when it reached the shore and disappeared into thin air, literally. The residents of this city must have been praying really hard. Summer surprise. Summer happens to be the best time to pack your bags and go on vacation, preferably at the beach. This was the case for this bunch of people. What they never expected was for nature to help them cool off. They had to run to safety and get under whatever they could find after a hailstorm hit the city in the middle of summer. Mountain reduced in seconds. We all hear of mountains that once erupted, but to actually see one in action is quite fascinating. In 1980, 1.6 kilometers of Mount St. Helens dropped within a matter of seconds after the mountain erupted. You better think of this the next time you want to settle near a mountain. Fire tornado. You'd think that tornadoes are already very scary, but wait until you come across a fire tornado. Yes, you heard that right, a fire tornado. A fire tornado occurs when two fires join into one, causing the air to heat up very quickly. The fire tornado can rise up to temperatures of up to 800 degrees Celsius and go as high as 5 kilometers into the air. The world's largest known fire tornado occurred back in Japan in the 1920s. The funnel reached 183 kilometers high and was up to 305 meters wide and traveling at speeds of 200 kilometers an hour. Solving 3 Rubik's Cubes at the same time. This video just comes to remind you that no matter how good you are, there is probably a kid somewhere that's smarter than you. Juggling is hard. Solving a Rubik's Cube is even harder, but despite all this kid can juggle 3 Rubik's Cubes and solve them at the same time. Archer catches arrow blindfolded. There are some people in this world that are just willing to risk it all. I don't know that this is a mastery or bravery, but this archer can catch an arrow coming towards him while blindfolded. Free iceberg show. One of the biggest advantages of living in Canada is getting a show of magnificent icebergs, and especially if you come from the Newfoundland Village. Here you're bound to be treated to a sight of huge icebergs every single year. You don't have to pay any tickets because the icebergs will come to you. In April 2017, the Ferryland residents were treated to a once-in-a-lifetime show after a huge iceberg camped near the coast. The mountain made of ice was 147.6 feet high, which is an equivalent of a 17-story building. It was also 49.2 feet bigger than the iceberg that led to the sinking of the Titanic. Locals say that this was the biggest iceberg that they had ever set their eyes on. Starling flocks. Starlings are birds that are as small as tennis balls and are known to come together in hundreds of thousands to form mind-blowing artistic designs. They gather in open fields and are guided by the wind, an instinct to create art like no other. Isn't it amazing how they are in perfect sync? What we will probably never know is why they do this. Any suggestions?